What is up, guys? I'm KBHD here, and welcome to your exclusive first look at the LG G3, one of the most anticipated phones of 2014, believe it or not. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. So I was able to get my hands on one of the first LG G3s out there, and I've had to hold back and not tell anyone about it until now. So this is actually a Korean model, but all the same specs and features apply here. And the specs of the LG G3 are top notch. So it's rocking a Snapdragon 801 quad-core chip, 3 gigabytes of RAM, and a 2560 by 1440 display that we will talk a lot about in a minute, all packaged in a really handsome body. In fact, that was my first thought when holding the LG G3 for the first time was, wow, this is a really good looking phone. And even though it's made of plastic, the finish in the back is pretty nice, and it feels nice in the hand. It's actually a little bit lighter than the G2 was. And LG, of course, kept the back buttons from the G2, and they're actually improved a bit. There's no LED notification on the back anymore, but the buttons are a little clickier, and they're a little more tactile. They feel good to press, and they're honestly pretty easy to get used to from side buttons. So on the front, might as well talk about it right now. It's that display. It has a 5.5-inch 2560 by 1440 display, which gives you a pixel density north of 530 pixels per inch. In other words, this is an insanely sharp display, and it's surrounded by tiny bezels and a very small chin, so really the phone doesn't feel that big at all. When you hold it up next to another phone with a 5.5-inch display, you may remember this OnePlus One here, for example, the G3 feels pretty compact compared to it, especially in the height department. And I'm a huge fan of keeping this design language, these thin bezels. I love it. It's actually more comparable now in size to a phone with a 5-inch display like the Galaxy S5 or the HTC One, while you still get this big 5.5-inch display on the G3. And there are some other nice improvements to the hardware, like LG hearing everyone out and including a 3000 milliamp hour removable battery behind this plastic door, and a microSD card slot for people who value removable storage, although I think I'd be cool with the 32 gig model here. And it has a slightly new camera, a 13 megapixel camera with a few interesting improvements, optical image stabilization, a dual tone flash now, 4K video recording, 720p slow motion video recording at 120 frames a second, and a new laser autofocus system that actually fires lasers and uses the reflections to sense and determine how far away the subject is super fast, then focuses there and takes the picture. Pretty cool. Playing with it for a bit, I do think it focused pretty quickly, and the camera app was super simple, nice, quick, easy to use. It lets you take pictures by pressing one of the back volume buttons, or lets you take a selfie by clenching your fist on camera to start a countdown timer. Lots of nifty stuff here, but a lot of these things are specs that I'll have to test out more in daily usage for my full review of the G3. But let's get back to this display. There were a lot of people talking, a lot of buzz about LG making a display like this and whether or not they would actually put it in a smartphone. You know, would it hinder performance? Would it reduce battery life? Would there be any cons to using such a high-res display in a smartphone? Because to be honest, right now the pros are pretty limited too. This hardware is really ahead of the content, and even LG software is barely caught up. So you have some super high-resolution wallpapers, of course. They made them look, they have lots of dots and stars, and they look really impressive, of course. And all of LG's assets, their icons, their stock apps, all that stuff is super high resolution. But any other Android app, like a game or a YouTube video or whatever it is, still runs at 1080p. It's kind of like when those 1080p phones were brand new. Everyone had a 720p phone, and we first saw phones like the Droid DNA, and everything else around it was still lower res, so eventually the content had to catch up, and now everyone has 1080p phones. So this could be another step in that direction. But what are the cons, really? Well, okay, right now there aren't really that many. Normal performance seems pretty snappy, just like the LG G2 was with this LG skin on it. This here is on top of Android 4.4 KitKat, and here everything from multitasking to opening and closing apps seems fine. And at a normal speed, animations seem pretty fluid. Of course, this could change as I test the phone more, but it seems just fine. I can't tell the battery life yet, obviously, but this is something I'll keep you posted on probably day to day on Twitter, just in case anything weird happens, I can just tell you guys about it. But like I said, day-to-day performance, gaming performance even, it seems fine because it's running at 1080p anyway. The only minor con I actually did find in my time using the G3 was after using it for a while, the phone wouldn't let me increase the display's brightness anymore over a certain amount when the phone heated up in temperature. It didn't happen all that much, but when it did, it would notch me down to 90 or 85% to cool down the graphics, I guess, by dimming the display. It's an interesting little thing that I'll be sure to keep my eye on. But really, we gotta wait till the apps catch up here and get optimized. I can't wait to see Android games running at the full 2560 by 1440 res. I can't wait to see other apps update with higher res graphics to look even more stunning, because right now all the benefits you have really from this display are the sweet wallpapers, the really sharp text in apps and web browsing, and the really high resolution photo and video playback. So this is something I'll have to give some more time and check up on. But yeah, that's my impressions of the LG G3 for now. Turns out this could be one of those really influential Android devices, kind of like the Droid DNA was, where if it goes well, I guess you could expect the Galaxy S5 Prime or the HTC One M8 Prime to have QHD displays too. You never know. We'll see. But these are my impressions of the G3, and the review process begins now. Thanks for watching this video. I hope many more to come, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.